Start your legacy. Is that a sign? Is that a sign? Is it time for me to start my legacy? Wow. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool and special. It's a sign from the universe. It's time to start my legacy. Sponsored by Coors Banquet. It's time. It's time, it's time, it's time. I remember a time. I remember a time that was earlier than today. In that time, I remember I was real sad. I was very sad. I was very sad and very, very upset. I don't know if I was upset. Maybe I was upset. I don't recall the time that clearly. But I was down and out. I was out and also down, down and also out. So, in this time that I was down and out, I I was driving. I was driving down the road, and I was, like I said, down and also out, and just really also out of sorts. Apparently, a very like depressed feeling day. Just, oh my god, what's the point? Like, oh no, oh no, like what's the point of it all? I was like, what's the point of it all? And so I remember saying, God, uh, I said, God, could you just please give me a sign? I said, would you please give me a sign? I need a sign. I need some kind of sign. I need a sign, God. And so I looked up and I immediately saw like a stop sign. And then Martin Luther King Boulevard. And then no crossing over here. And then 10 miles per hour sign. And then a billboard or whatever the fuck you have you. And I started laughing because I was like, whoa, there's signs everywhere. There's literally signs everywhere. All you gotta do is look. And so that was pretty funny and helpful. It snapped me out. I was like, God's pretty hilarious and pretty cool and pretty dope. The dopest, actually. So that's a story about a time. You know, whatever. Whatever, that's the thing that happened. Yeah, what's it to you? So what? Yeah. Man, don't you fucking hate when bananas are... Well, actually, apparently not. Not everyone. Everyone has a very different preference of when they like their banana ready for consumption. So, which one are you? I like it when it's like really solid yellow. Like between, like right after it goes from a little bit greenish to yellow, like really solid yellow. You know what I mean? Like that's my preference of banana. Once it starts getting all like brown spots and soft, I'm like, ugh, that's the one in my protein shake today. And like whatever, but it's also not whatever. It's also like not as good. It's also just like not nearly as good as what I like the bananas when they're more yellow. So it's just not as good. It's just not as good. It's just not as fucking good, you know? Whatever, Brentag. Never seen that company name before. Made up company. Brentag. Alright. Literally 98% of everything I'm saying is so fucking retarded right now. But whatever, it's for a reason. And that reason is no reason. There's no reason. What's the reason of anything? Is there any reason? Is there any point to it all? Is there any point to life? To this ontological life? I hope I used that right. because I've heard that word a couple times recently, and so I Googled it this morning to find out the definition, because I was like, well, I'm going to sound so fucking smart. I'm going to drop this word all over the place and be like, oh, yes, the ontological meaning of this is, as you can see, ontologically. Oh, yes, the ontological purpose is clear. It's very clear. It's very clear, it's very clear ontologically. So, hopefully I used that right. Of course, Oxford, dictionary does that gay thing where it's just like, ontological, here's the definition, of the properties of ontology. I'm like, oh, now I fucking know exactly what you mean, you fucking dick. You know what I mean? Like, that's always been the thing. Like, you're not allowed to use the definition you're not allowed to use the word in the definition. Like, that's what they told us in school, but Oxford Dictionary is allowed to, like the place where you're actually supposed to go to the source to figure out what it is. They're allowed to use the word in the definition. Fuck out of here. So ontological, But I digress. I probably shouldn't even digress, because I'm going to digress to a place where I was before, which is also a place that made no sense. That didn't make sense. The whole thing didn't make sense. None of it made sense. None of it's making sense. Am I supposed to make sense? Because probably not. Because I'm done trying. It's just so ontological. So, I'm going to use the word now. Just whatever the fuck I want. Be like, yo, what are you doing over there? Stop being so ontological. Yeah? Sounds... No one's going to even know what the fuck I mean. Who knows what ontological is besides the ridiculously smart people I listen to on YouTube that I compare myself to? Besides them. I've never heard one person in my life use ontological. I don't think you have many people running around Jersey speaking about ontology. That's just me being judgmental. Whatever. Where would they? San Francisco. Everyone knows what ontology means in San Francisco. If you don't, you should probably move. You should probably get the fuck out. Or learn what it means and stay. I don't make the rules. I'm still behind this Coors Banquet truck that says, start your legacy. It was pulling away a little bit. Do you think that means that my legacy is getting away from me? Do you think that's what that means? You think perhaps it means that it's getting away? Do you think that means, and now I'm catching up again, do you think that means I'm getting closer to my legacy? I'm about to pass him right now, though. So do you think that possibly means that, like, I'm ahead of my legacy and I've already peaked and I'm done for now, and everything now is just all downhill from here? Downhill is chill, though. You know what I mean? Like, downhill is relaxing, especially when you were just going uphill for a while. I mean, I'm not like a professional mountain climber or anything, but I think I could probably tell you the up parts. Actually, that's not true. It's not always easy, harder. It's not always harder, because there was a time I remember I was hiking with my buddy. Shout out Keenan. What the fuck was it? It was in Colorado. Doesn't matter where it was. It was in Colorado. And up was pretty cool, up was cool. And then we went downhill on this thing. And the down part, I don't think it was really, I think there was a big part of it that wasn't a trail. We were trailblazing, if you will. I'm sure other people have went here before, but for the sake of the story, we were trailblazing. But there was all these shifty rocks, real shifty real shifty rocks. And it real steep too, really steep, really steep, and then shifty rocks on this really steep thing. And as you could imagine, if you understand physics and ontology, then you'll understand what happens on a steep surface with shifty rocks. Not good. So, we're walking down, hiking down, trailblazing down, and we're shifting all over the fucking place. Me, probably more, because I wasn't that good at this. And also, I remember my shoes had no grip. So I'm like slippery on top of shifty, on top of steep. The 3 S's. You don't want that. in hiking. Maybe other areas you might want that, like like super sweet sex. You probably would want that, But if you're hiking, you probably don't want steep, shifty, and slippery, So the three S's really matter in what domain of existence and of ontology that you're in. So going down super steep, shifty, slippery, and I'm just sliding all over the place. And I remember just being so anxious, like, oh my goodness. There was snow too, 4 S's. Not everywhere, but there was like snow patches, So I think there was snow. I could be making that up. I could be completely making that up, but it feels like there was snow patches. I'm not even almost certain. I have no idea, to be honest with you. That could be completely conjured up out of my mind right now to just like make the story more intense and just add more S's. Like, oh, there was snakes as well, and oh my goodness, there was also steers, and it was real severe, So the 3 S's were there for sure: steep, shifty, slippery. Those were 100% guaranteed there. Okay, those were guaranteed, absolutely guaranteed. So, to get back to this story time, the other S, right? And to get back on track, I'm saying all of this to say, what's the point here? You're probably wondering, what's the fucking point? Just get to the point, all right? And I'm getting to it. There's not much of a point, but there is one. We're going to get to the point. And so, I remember being like, whoa, downhill in this particular instance, way harder than uphill, way more of a challenge, way more scary, another S, way more scary. And so, the point, I'm saying all this to say downhill, I guess, is not always just easier to say, oh, it's all downhill from here. You could have a scary, slippery, steep, shifty, snowy day ahead of you with snakes. You might stumble. You might slip. You might steer your way somewhere. You might shake. You might be shaky. But whatever. Whatever. So whatever, really. You know what I mean? Like whatever. It's just so ontological. When you really think about it. It really is. So I mean, what else? What else? What else is up? What's up? What's going on? I mean, not much. Got a beautiful day over here. Beautiful Thursday morning. Just did some arms. Just some arms at the gym, getting all pumped up. That's cool. That's whatever. Whatever. I mean, what else? What are you gonna do? Legs? I gotta do legs tomorrow. So tomorrow I will have to do that. Have to. Absolutely have to. It's a necessity. All right. Whatever, man. Whatever. The whole point of this. Shit. We made it. I take that back. I take it back. We're all good. Everything is super good. Super great, actually, when you really think about it. When you really think about it, it really all is. I mean, if you're anything like me, you get in your head sometimes, and you're like trying to figure everything out. Just ready to be done with that. I don't even want to figure this shit out anymore. I don't care. That's the thing, you know what I mean? Because that's been an ongoing lesson in my life, right? Shark just made one of those sounds. That's been an ongoing. Did I not just sound exactly like a truck? Was that not the most impressive thing you ever heard? I mean, tell me, was that? Were you like, whoa? Was that a fucking truck? Or like, I know, I know. I'm pretty impressive, pretty great at truck noises. Pretty great at truck noises, you know. But man, it's not. You know, it's hard to get paid for truck noises. I have gotten paid for truck noises. You know, but that's a very niche industry, and you know, I've been sought out for that. You know, the pay is okay, it depends, but the jobs aren't always there. You know, like there's been times I've been sought out, and people, you know, but it's usually quick gigs. They're like, hey, you know, can you can you give me a Ford F-150, 1997? And I'm like, yeah, sure thing. And I make a contract. It's usually somewhere around like $300. I work for about 30 seconds. You know, I mean, what's better than that? You know, it's not bad. But like I said, that work's not. It's not all over the place. Like I don't get to do that every day. Is it my passion? Of course, it's my passion. It's what I'm here to do. But I just don't get to do it every day. I mean, I get to do it every day for my own enjoyment, but I don't get to do it every day for like as a career. You know, they say do what you love and you never work another day in your life. And so I make truck noises. It is what it is. All right. So what the fuck ever. But you know, like I said, I mean, maybe there's more of a market for it. Maybe I just haven't like tapped into the market. You know, maybe this will be my breakthrough video, and this will get in front of the right people, and then you know, word will get out about the amazing truck noises that I can make, and people, and I'll just have more work than I know what to do with, and you know, and I can just, like I said, never work another day in my life. That's the dream, right? The American dream. Isn't that not the actual American dream to get paid for making fucking truck noises? Like, that was a free one. You know, I don't want to give away too much. You know, before that was already a free one. So, what the fuck was I talking about before the truck noises, before that truck? I actually do remember, turns out. I do remember. And what I remember, oh man, I hate these. Oh, I don't know. Do you ever get this feeling too? Like I'm stopped at a red light right now, and you can just feel the person next to you just look over, and I'm like, you can just feel them, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know why. I'm like, let me just. I feel myself like I'll be like, yo, move away from me. You know, I just like my space. I like my space is all. I just like my space, and you know, I forgot I did another video about that. I gotta post that. That was actually not the worst. Did I post it? I might have posted it. I don't even know, bro. I have no idea. All right, red light is gone. That person that was just looked over and I felt encroached upon. Very encroached upon. It's like he's like an encroacher, and whatever, whatever. All right, back to my point. Back to my point. Back to my point was, oh man, it was about trying again. Now I'm trying to get back to my point. Now it's all counterintuitive, counterproductive, hypocritical, sort of. Who fucking cares? Whatever. But it's so weird when certain things happen. Tell me if you relate to this. Do you ever like? Sometimes you realize there's a thing, and I can feel something like come into my psyche, or something happen, or something I was like either dodging or going to say, or thought, or something that is just like there's like this little split that happens, and when you try to like dodge it, or you don't go towards it, or something, it's just like there you can feel this like split take place, and you just feel off. So, but sometimes you don't even know what it is. So you gotta like dive into it fully. And when you dive into the feeling, all of a sudden you like feel it and you integrate it back in, and then all of a sudden then you're back and you're feeling whole, and then you're able to speak from like a more fluid flow state again, right? So with that being said, let me dive into that. I already kind of dove into that, integrated it back a little bit, back into the center, so to speak. And now from that point, now from that point, I'm gonna try to get back to what I was saying. Does it even matter? Am I even supposed to say what I was saying before, or is I just does it matter? Trying. We'll see. Do I even care? Do I even care about saying what I was gonna say before? Am I supposed to say it? I guess not, because I don't even really feel like saying it right now. So I'm not gonna say it. Because who cares? Who cares? Whatever. I'm not. I don't feel like trying. Just don't feel like it. It's exhausting. It's very exhausting. So instead of that, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want for now. There's nuances to that. You can't. This is. I want to be clear here because this is an important lesson that I've had to deal with. This isn't the lesson I was going to talk about before the lesson. Blah blah blah. Lesson classes in session for all the lessons from me. Holy sweat! All my teachings. That's not the point. All right, I'm not the other lesson. We're doing this lesson. It's time for this lesson. So, get your notepad out if you care. If you don't, throw your notepad away, rip it up, and that'll be another lesson like they do in movies. Like, rip it up, forget everything you ever learned. So, okay. Oh, you can't just do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, look, you can. You absolutely can. You can, and you might. Maybe you should for a little bit until you realize that that's not the way to live, right? Because this is a thing that I had to go through and whatever, and it's a thing that I think most people come to at some point in their own journey, especially, right? You see this with a lot of spiritual people who, when they start, waking up and coming into the idea of spirituality and getting connected to their self, they feel like the highest truth when they realize that they're God and everything is God and they're all connected is just like, oh, well, that means I can just do, and I should do, whatever the fuck I want because I am the center of the universe. I am God. I am connected to God. So obviously, the highest truth would be me doing anything I want because my impulses come from within, which means that they are from God and from within God. And for me to not follow every single impulse would be a a slap in the face to God, basically. You know what I mean? And that really, that makes sense in some way when you think about it. You know what I mean? That's why I get it, because that's what I thought for a little bit. There is some truth, some. It's not the whole truth. There's a flavor of truth in there, right? And you can see why that would make sense when you understand that deeper truth that you are connected to God and there only is one thing, and that one thing is God, and then you're a part of that one thing, so you're not disconnected. So how come anything that comes from within you shouldn't be followed, right? But the deeper truth, when you get to it, is then you have to realize we're living in a world of duality, and there's others, and there's things, and there's consequences to your actions, and there's all these things, and there's a thing called sacrifice, and there's times where you sacrifice things for the greater good. There's many stories about this in all of the religions, right? And you realize from your own experience too, when you've lived life enough and you've sacrificed enough, that you realize when you lay something down, and a sacrifice isn't the meaning, and of sacrifice isn't giving up something you don't give a shit about. And they're like, if you were like, oh, well, I'm going to sacrifice this shirt I don't want anywhere, more to Goodwill. You're not sacrificing the shirt. You don't give a fuck about the shirt. But if you have your favorite article of clothing that you've ever had in your entire life, and it was given to you from someone special to you who then passed away, and it holds so much or whatever, and for whatever reason, in this ridiculous example that I'm giving, you had to give up that article of clothing to to whatever. There was some scientific thing, and that you gave it up, and then it formed molecules, and then it gave rain. We haven't had rain in a lot of seasons or something ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense, but you're feeling what I mean. That would be a sacrifice, okay? Because it means something to you, so you're sacrificing it for the greater good of, in this ridiculous scenario, having water come in our crops, then be happy again because we've had to worry, whatever, and everyone's hungry and they need food and they're relying on the water, and you're sacrificing your shirt for it. Ridiculous example, I know, but to get back to my original point, that's the thing. We all know what sacrifice is. So when you get to it, sacrifice is for you're giving up something meaningful for something greater, right? And this, you have to learn to be able to do this. You're going to sacrifice a lot of your immediate impulses, your immediate pleasure, those things that give you immediate hits. And then a lot of times, even this sacrifice yields greater good for you and for your life later, but that's not always the point. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of times where it is necessary, if you really want the greatest good for yourself and all of existence, to sacrifice things in the immediate moment, right? And just sacrifice in general. That is an ongoing theme in life. So that's what I mean. There's nuances. There are times to just do, you know what I mean? Like, do what you want. It's not like you don't just, it's not also, because you know what I mean, the other end of the pendulum is just you always self-sacrificing and just like never ever following your feelings and your impulses and whatever, and like those, you know what I mean, there's the impulses are from that, there's like, you know what I mean, that's why it's nuances, and you have to just get to it in your own life and your own journey and figure out where and what and why and how and blah 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 blah. But that's your journey, man. You know what I mean? That's like totally your journey, man. You know, like, you know what I mean? So that is what it is. You know, but so that's all I'm saying. I wanted to like throw that in there because I don't want to just be like, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want. You should too, because that's what everyone should do, is whatever the fuck they want. Like, that would be absolute chaos. You know, and while chaos is good, you know, you don't want all chaos. You need order. Okay, chaos and order, balance them out. You need both. You need the feminine. You need the masculine. You need both ends of the poles. All right, you need both. You need both of them. All right, you need both. So, you know what I mean? You just need both. So that's what I wanted to say. And I said it, and now it's said. So just don't do whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? I don't care. You know, because it's not about me, you know, when it comes to you. It's about you when it comes to you. So you do whatever you want. I just wanted to say that as a disclaimer, because you might not even be able to hear it, you know? But if you can, that's great. Because who knows? You know, I'm sure I couldn't hear it until I needed to hear it. But now it's good. But it wasn't the easiest thing, you know? Having to start being able to sacrifice things, especially in the immediate moment when the things were so seemingly great and awesome and cool, you know? So, wow, 30 minutes. 30 minutes. It's a lot of me rambling. You know? I mean, that beginning was weird. So, whatever, man. You know? Whatever, man. All right. So I'm going to leave it here. But what I will say, what will I say? You know? Doesn't even matter. What I will say, though, is at all right? Because this is something I'm going to start. I need to start saying this more, for just the off chance that anyone listens to this, you know, and they resonate. Do you resonate? Do you resonate with any of this? Any of this at all? You know what I mean? Like, if you resonate with any of this at all, because there's probably a lot of people that won't, you know, but if you do, if you resonate with this, if you resonate with me at all right? If you resonate with me at all, let me know. All right? I'm trying to build some shit, okay? This isn't the point of the video, is to go into detail about that. I'm not going into detail about that in the video. But I'm trying to build some shit, all right? So I'm looking for my people, right? I'm looking for my people. So if you resonate with me at all, just let me know. Leave a comment, all right? Because I'm trying to start building some shit, and for that, I need to start connecting with my people, all right? So I know y'all are out there. Like, I know for a fact you guys are out there. So let me know, okay? Let me know, and I will start. I mean, I've already started in a lot of ways, but I will start. I will start. I will. I will get and I will figure out a way to start bringing this more, together more, bringing it and making it a little bit more cohesive. All right. So let me know. Let me know.